you might have followed the news lately. Again, what happened in Turkey and in Syria surely is devastating regarding this earthquake and devastation. Now, before we get started, and again, on behalf of the staff and the show, that we love to express our condolences and also our sorrowfulness to the people in Turkey and also in Syria, again, regarding this earthquake that happened recently. And we hope and I pray that people in both countries are able to recover from this natural disaster. But meanwhile, again, if you follow the news closely, that recently Pakistan's former President Pervez Musharraf, a key U.S. ally in the campaign against Al-Qaeda and following the militant group on September 11th attack in 2001, actually passed away on Sunday and after a prolonged illness and at the age of 79. Well, if you pay attention to the news, that mainstream media won't really talk about his legacy. And of course, that right now today, people only pay attention to this geopolitical change in the US and also in Europe. But however, when it comes to former President Musharraf, again, he was a key player not only for the country of Pakistan, but also regarding this ongoing relationship between China and Pakistan as well. So that's why in this episode, we need to talk about the significance of former Pakistan's President Pervez Musharraf and also how he contributed to the bilateral relations between China and Pakistan. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you follow our show, and you must be familiar with our distinguished speaker, which is Dr. Shoaib Kahut. Now, Dr. Kahut is a PhD scholar of Shandong University in China, and his research interests include Belt and Road Initiative and energy economics. And he has carried out extensive research on Chinese investment across the globe and also for the BRI. Well, Dr. Kahut, and welcome back to The Missing Piece.
Thank you very much, Mr. Will. It's always a great pleasure to be in your show.
Well, Dr. Kahut, welcome back to the show. Now, I want to start with a question. As we mentioned before, recently the former President Musharraf passed away at the age of 79 and after battling against the prolonged illness. And again, we know that based on the intro, not only he was the leader for the country, and also he played a significant role in terms of building the partnership with the U.S. to be against Al-Qaeda, which is a famous terrorist group. Now, help us to understand how significant is his legacy and how important it is for our audience to understand his contribution or his partnership with the U.S. in terms of battling against Al-Qaeda at this moment.
Yeah, as we all know that President Musharraf, he became the president of Pakistan after the coup against the democratic setup, since Pakistan is a parliamentary democracy. And so it was the year 1999. And in the year 2001, on the September the 11th, which is called 9/11. So America, there was an attack on the World Trade Center, and by virtue of that attack, America traced Bin Laden, all against these attacks, and America eventually attacked the Afghanistan. Pakistan being the neighbor of Afghanistan, so America sought the help of Pakistan in terms of the military bases, which Pakistan in principle agreed to provide to the US. So then, we have seen it, all the chaos, in the region, and the war against terror, Pakistan being the front state ally of the US. So as a result of those cooperation, these splinter elements of the Al-Qaeda and the TTP, the Taliban, their Afghan faction and the Pakistani faction, both of them, they got united against Pakistani security forces, and and rest is the history. Pakistan has to bear the lot of expenses, a lot of losses. More than 80,000 human lives have been, sacrificed on the Pakistani side. So, the role of General Pervez Musharraf, who just passed away, his role in the war on terror was very critical, because he was the greatest partner in Asia of the US. And unfortunately, Pakistan has paid a huge price of being the front state ally of the US. And the main mastermind, behind this cooperation was from the US side, it was President Bush, and from the Pakistan side, it was uh, President, the General retired Pervez Musharraf. Yeah.
Brother, based on the research, and again, statistically speaking, it is a fact that during President Musharraf, the leadership, the economic or this economic growth in Pakistan was rather profound. So, in other words, when people look at his presidency and look at this economic growth, needless to say that people, I guess the word should be confident. People were so confident about this economic partnership, as you mentioned before, not just with the US and also with many countries in Asia. Brother, you witnessed the histories throughout the centuries. Help us to understand how much contribution did President Musharraf contribute under his presidency for the people in Pakistan? And again, how significant it is today for the whole world to understand such a general, such a leader made a greater effort, even went out his way to create this prosperity for the country of Pakistan. Go ahead.
Historically in Pakistan, because the system of governance in Pakistan has been swinging in between the military and the civilian setup. In all the 75 years of history of Pakistan, 35 approximately years have been, ruled by the military directly. So, in all of those rules, Pakistan was the main recipient of the generous American funding, because Pakistan was in the American group. So there was a huge amount of dollars, which were being shipped towards Pakistan. So by virtue of those aids, as I mentioned, the war on terror. So under war on terror, Pakistan received huge, billions and billions of dollars under the head of CSF, which is the Coalition Support Fund. So, since all of those dollars and money were coming, so, the General Pervez Musharraf, he made sure that the fruits of those dollars, they reached to the common man. And he actually strengthened the local government system in Pakistan, actually, just like in China. So he actually strengthened the local bodies, the local government. So he made sure that the governance structure, it goes right to the grassroots level, and and it had some of the very good results for the Pakistani economy. For the first time in the Pakistani history, our economic growth rate, it reached to up to the 8%. So things were just only one thing. It was not good, because Pakistan being the parliamentary democracy, we didn't have that time this democracy portion. So otherwise, a common man was more happy in the General Pervez Musharraf's era as compared to now, because now Pakistan is facing a historical, uphill in the inflation and some of other problems, as very low levels of foreign exchange reserves now. But comparing to with the General Pervez Musharraf's era, things in Pakistani economy were, not very good, but not very bad, but somewhere in the middle. At least he ensured that a common man say should be there in the governance structure by strengthening the local government system.
Dr. Kahut, when we talk about this economic growth under General Musharraf, again, based on the research, that many experts believe that not only for this domestic economic growth, and also in terms of foreign investment, and we know that during his presidency, again, as we mentioned before, he encountered with the US President George W. Bush many times, and one of the signatory projects, or one of the signatory policy under General Musharraf, was to build this foreign investment opportunity, able to accumulate or able to generate more opportunities for the country of Pakistan. Now, help us to understand, why was it important for General Musharraf to collect the interest overseas. So, in other words, what was his motivation to invite foreign investment into the country? What was the reason behind it? We know that you study economics, and of course, that you are one of the key players for the economic government. So, help us to understand what was the reason for General Musharraf to make the decision, and how do you think that people in Pakistan back in the days could benefit from the foreign investments?
Mr. Will, for the countries like Pakistan, the role of foreign direct investment, which is the FDI, it's very important because unfortunately the manufacturing sector of Pakistan is not very as much efficient as in case of other South Asian economy like Bangladesh, which is a king in the textile sector in South Asia. So, Pakistan always needs, or the such countries always which are at the lowest ebb of the developing world list. So these countries always need some of the or a lot of investment from the wealthier countries. So yeah, because every country needs money to prosper, to move forward. So for that reason, actually, the General Pervez Musharraf, he made sure that Pakistan keep on receiving the foreign dollars, foreign investments, in the form of dollars or in the form of securities, the treasury bills, yeah. So and actually Pakistan saw those the fruits of those investments because the industries and some of the manufacturing setups, they were built for example, the cement industry, which is the key industry in the construction sector. It was built, on larger scale. So many factories were established in Pakistan in General Pervez Musharraf's era. So due to that, Pakistan saw the rise of the employment levels and more and more growth in the construction sector. Now again, we have this understanding that the construction sector actually contributes to some of the 20 other subsectors. For example, steel industry, for example, plastics, for example, plumbing industry. So that's why this step to encourage actually the foreign direct investments in Pakistan. It was a key step, and during his era, Pakistan witnessed a huge amount of foreign direct investments in it.
Brother, I know you're an expert on Belt and Road Initiative, so that's why the next part of the conversation, I want to bring China into our dialogue. As we mentioned before, during his presidency, it wasn't just about this relationship between Pakistan and the US. And let's talk about China. Based on the factual information, that the former president of Pakistan was also invited to China on multiple occasions. And as a matter of fact, that he was given several opportunities to communicate with the younger generations at one or two distinguished universities in China during his presidency as well. Now, brother, help us to understand, during the presidency of Musharraf, how would you describe the relationship between Pakistan and China? And also, what were some of the major milestones that those two countries, or in terms of the leaders, accomplished back then?
China and the Pakistan friendship, as they say, it is sweeter than honey. It is the greatest mountain in the world. Higher than the Himalaya. So this is actually true because whichever government structure is in Pakistan, being it a military rule or a democracy rule, our relationship with China, they have grown over time, exponentially. And so same goes true for the Musharraf because he was ruling Pakistan at the start of the 21st century. So and at that time Pakistan was the front state ally of the US as well. So now we have always seen the rift between the US and the China, which is mostly started from the US side. So actually, General Musharraf actually balanced it very well. At the same time, he was cooperating as a head of a government of Pakistan with the US in his offensive against Afghanistan by providing them the key military bases. So at the same time, General Pervez Musharraf, he established a very cordial relationship with China, and actually, this project of JF-17 Thunder, the key fighter jet of Pakistan. Actually, this agreement was also signed at the time of General Pervez Musharraf, and now Pakistan is manufacturing that fighter jet in Pakistan, actually assembling by taking parts from China. So, all of these things, and there were so many other confidence building measures, which are called CBMs. So, actually, as we talk about Belt and Road, although it started, or the China Pakistan Economic Corridor, although it formally started in 2013, but its seeds were sown much earlier in the General Pervez Musharraf's era, and Pakistan witnessed, a huge, you can say, the pat in the back from the Chinese friends, and on multiple occasions, General Pervez Musharraf visited China, and same for, I think at that time, Chinese Premier was Hu Jintao. So he also used to, travel to Pakistan a lot. Yeah, so being a neighboring country of China, Pakistan has always given due importance to this neighbor. And specifically at that time when General Pervez Musharraf was ruling, since Pakistan was in the camp of the US, so he balanced the thing very, very well with the Chinese friends as well.
Now, again, brother, I want to ask you one more question before we focus on the next part of the conversation. And we know that, again, if we look at China today, we always say China today, put in this mild way, is politically important and also economically hungry, at this moment. Because, again, post the pandemic, the whole world has been changed. Now, again, in comparison and contrast, back in the days, under President Musharraf, that the relationship between China and Pakistan was rather positive and healthful. But right now, fast forward, what changed? Because we know that during the conversation, even before we taping the show, you and I were talking about this a little bit. Somehow today, in some region or some part of the region of Pakistan, that not everyone is on board with China. As a matter of fact, there are some groups and there are some people who are not actually in favor of Chinese presence. Dr. Kahut, from this political and also this economic perspective, what is happening today and why do you think the attitude changed?
Yeah, since now presently we see that Pakistan, and as a matter of fact, if you see that Pakistan is a confederation, because we have the 5 provinces and every province have their own identity, and we have this system of parliamentary democracy in which we need to, or we have to take all the provinces with us. So historically speaking, every province have their own set of, you can say, grievances and issues, and those issues are, decades old. And unfortunately, some of their concerns, which are very genuine, for example, the security concern in Balochistan, it is a genuine concern, the provision of basic facilities. So, as we also talked in the previous episode, when Pakistan move ahead under this understanding of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor with our Chinese friends, so those provinces were actually, they were expecting that the fruits will be there for them, in the immediate future, which actually, didn't happen because of, the projects were slowed down. Unfortunately, there were some security issues, and there were some attacks on Chinese engineers and teachers. So due to this, the projects actually, they had some of the, the pace was slowed down, but still, as we are speaking, just 2 days before, one of the key coal project of China, which China actually built in Pakistan, it started its operations. And just similarly, on many fronts, we have seen that cooperation in between China and Pakistan, it has, uh, brought a lot of positives for Pakistan actually. So in this sense, as we speak, you know, some provinces have their genuine concerns, that how to actually take immediate fruits from this China-Pakistan cooperation. Yeah.
Dr. Kahut, I know you're very busy. Now stay with me. I got two more questions before letting you go. Now, again, I want to focus on China-Pakistan relationship today. Even though previously that we've been discussing this legacy of General Musharraf, of course that we always consider the predecessors, or even put in this Western term, the forefathers. They laid the solid ground politically and also economically for the successors. But meanwhile, when we look at China today, we're in the year of 2023, and everyone is looking at, as we mentioned before, this country is politically important and economically hungry. So for a country of Pakistan, how do you think this country should continue to build upon this relationship without any interruptions or without any noises? Because we know at this moment, everyone is too worried within the international community that China is going to outgrow other countries, or China is going to politicizing everything in order to dominate the world, which we have no way to prove it. So again, Dr. Kahut, from your perspective, how do you think that Pakistan continue to move forward, again, after this legacy of General Musharraf and also under the current leader of Pakistan? Go ahead.
If we look from the countries like Pakistan and all the partner countries of China, so if we look from their perspective, only one thing which is important for the bright future, that is the political and economic stability. So if the long-term decisions are not taken timely, then no matter how much investment they have made in those countries, they will eventually suffer. So just in the time, as we speak about the General Pervez Musharraf, so in his time, the system of governance in Pakistan was totally different because it was a one-man rule. Because it was a different setup as Pakistanis are used to. But now, as we are speaking, the system of governance is democracy. So it means that there is no political stability, or the very least political stability. So from the Chinese perspective, China, as President Xi has always said that this Belt and Road initiative is a win-win situation. And it has been aimed to build a community of a shared future. So in this sense, so it is a win-win actually, because as we speak in Pakistan, the projects worth billions of dollars have been built by the Chinese companies. They are roads. Just now, Pakistan Railway has received its railway carriages. There are thermal and the energy plants, are dams. Some of the very key dams have been built by the Chinese. So, the Chinese footprints in Pakistan or the Africa or the Sri Lanka, they are very deep. But now, the responsibility is on the shoulders of, the recipient countries like Pakistan, that they keep their political environment stable, so that the fruits of Chinese investments, they actually go deeper. And those fruits, they actually can bring more and more prosperity. And this is the only way to move forward.
Well, Dr. Kahut, again, that after the COVID restriction, China recently loosened up its policy in terms of welcoming the international travelers back to the country, which is considered as one of the major strategic, political, and also economic move for the whole world. So, Dr. Kahut, I want to get your reaction on this. Is how do you think by opening up the border and opening up the gate to the world could benefit such a country as Pakistan? Not just about this political engagement, but from this economic projection. How much benefit do you think that we are able to receive mutually and not individually?
Yeah, as China has contained this pandemic very well, so Pakistan being the direct neighbor, because the Western China is connected through roads and, of course, through mountains with northern Pakistan, and it is the one of the key border, because at the one of the other end it also linked with the India as well. So, by the way, Chinese border, through roads and the mountains is linked with so many countries. So as China has now, softened its restrictions, of course, the direct beneficiaries will be its direct neighbors. So, and already thousands of Pakistani students, as me, as myself, we are studying here in China. So one of the big thing will be that more and more influx will be there of the students in China, and the other, business persons, people to people exchange. More and more Chinese companies, they are working in Pakistan, and in the future, it is hoping that more and more Pakistani businessmen will come here. So yeah, it will bring a lot of good things for both the countries. From the economic perspective, we say that it will bring more and more cultural exchange, and through the cross-cultural communication, you know, we always get some good results, being them economic or the financial or the political even, because Pakistan has a lot to learn from Chinese system of governance, the long-term policies, and because China is indeed the factory of the world. So if it can produce a lot of goods for the whole world, I think Pakistan also can um, learn from the Chinese manufacturing sector, and build more and more manufacturing plants, and to and can take its real GDP, upwards. Yeah.
Well, Dr. Kahut, again, we are only in the second month of 2023. Of course, for China, this year still has a long way to go. And also, it's really important, not just we talk about this ongoing relationship between China with some of the countries in Southeast Asia. And also, it's important to remind everyone, because of the effort of the predecessors that lay the ground, that we're able to see the fruit that were what we experience today, and also some of the leaders really sacrificed themselves in order to provide a better relationship. Well, again, Dr. Kahut, we are very sorry this the tragic that took place to the former president of Pakistan, Musharraf, and we express our condolences to the family, and also we hope that not only in Pakistan but also in China and also around the world, people remember this significant figure, that he actually contributes so much to this bilateral relations between China and Pakistan, and also to the battle against Al Qaeda, which is of course considered as the significant and irreplaceable milestone for the world.